those of you who don't know me, my name's Graham Cook. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, which is focused on Colourblind online version. My colleague Kim, that some of you may have had contact with, is working in the background. I find, particularly when we try to do what we're going to try to do today, it's really useful having someone else monitoring the controls, because I do think working online is a bit more difficult than if you're working physically with everyone in the same room. So I don't think anyone else is waiting currently, so I'm just going to head on into the presentation now. So what we're going to cover today, those of you who have joined me before might recognize the format. We're going to take a little bit of an introduction to the product and the background. Then I want to run straight into what is Colourblind online and how does it work. And to do that, we're going to actually run a trial. So I'm really hoping some of the people on the call today will volunteer to take part. And I think that would really help everyone. So everyone is going to get a chance to see what's happening, but I would like a few of you to take part. I will do that by, if you're really keen, please send your email address and name to Kim in the chat, and she'll start to set that up in the background. Particularly if you're not familiar with the online version but are familiar with the physical version, then please by all means jump in and have a play with it. So we'll do that for around 15 minutes, just after the introduction, and then we'll take a look at the back end of what we call the platform, so the Experiential Learning Tools.com platform, and then we'll come to questions. Other than this first kind of few minutes where Kim is going to be busy beavering away in the background trying to get people set up who want to play. If you have questions, again, just send them to Kim in the chat. She'll get to them. She'll answer you if she can. If not, she'll interrupt me. And we'll have a little bit of time, hopefully, at the end for questions. So we're going to run through about an hour today. I can see there's just Laura is in the waiting room, so I'm just going to give Kim a second to admit her, and then we'll move on. Thanks, Kim. So welcome, Laura, if you're just joining us. Just doing a little brief introduction. So as I say, we're going to run a live demo. Now, I wouldn't recommend trying to do this if you're going to run particularly a group experiential learning activity. Hopefully most people have got some kind of planning. They know who's going to be arriving. They're ready to go. We don't have any of that other than the people that we know registered. So if you do want to take part, send your email address and name to Kim in the Zoom chat. The email address is really important because sometimes people register on Zoom with a different email than they want to work with. So the way the activity works and the way all of the activities in the platform work is it will use Zoom to communicate the way we are just now. But you'll get a link through your email which will open a browser window, and that's where you'll see the resources that you would use in Colourblind. So again, we're not sure how many people are going to turn up, but we'll take a maximum of about 10 to do that. So if you're keen to take part, please do. And the others will get a link to be an observer, and what that means, you'll get a link to see all of the resources that have been sent out to individual people. So everyone will have something to look at as we're doing that. Okay, that clear? Any questions from anyone on that? Just open your mic. And again, if you've taken part, if you've kind of tried Colourblind online or physical version, don't let that put you off. Please do. Sometimes it's really useful to have people in the activity who understand that, have used it before. That's not a problem. It won't cause any issues if you try to help people, and we won't ask you to play any kind of role other than a participant who's trying to solve it. Okay, and Kim's going to yell at me in the background if she's having any problems, so I'm going to go on with a little bit of background. So there was mention of the physical product at the start there when we're just getting people admitted into the waiting room and so on. So that bottom right, some of you may recognize some of the plastic pieces that form the current physical version of Colourblind. Colourblind's actually probably more than 30 years old now, and it goes back to my colleague Jeff Cox. Jeff's a founder and a co-director in RSVP Design. And at that point, predating RSVP, he was working with the Civil Aviation Authority, who asked him to create an introductory communications activity. And this was specifically for training of air traffic controllers, something that they would do in their first week of basic training. And for us, when we look at any kind of learning activity, we always look at what is the behavior. And in this case, the learning focus was really getting people to understand during that first week of basic training the importance of creating a shared and unequivocal meaning between people who don't share the same visual frame of reference. So the activity was designed to reward behaviours which support that, and I guess challenge behaviours that didn't. So we rolled that out, piloted it. It was pretty successful within the ATC. I think they still use it today. So if anyone knows any different, let me know. But I do believe that you'll still see colourblind in air traffic control training. And a number of trainers who knew Jeff were saying, well, maybe good communication skills aren't just for air traffic controllers. You know, could you do me a copy of that? And that was the start of Colourblind and really our physical products business. And that was all fine for about 30 years until March 2020. So I'm sure most of you will realise that certainly in the UK, that was the beginning of COVID, and for us and for lots of trainers, face-to-face learning more or less stopped. Thankfully, temporarily, but to be fair, we didn't even know that was the case at the time. So since March 2020, a number of things have changed. The first thing was that our phone got busy, but not people asking to send out physical materials, asking us, how do we use some of this stuff and how do we use this approach for learning virtually? And although we had done some work and had created some apps and things, I guess we took what now on reflection seems quite a myopic view that, yeah, the only way to do soft skills training is to do it face-to-face, and the best way to do it, which is still arguably true, is face-to-face, and what happens when you don't have that luxury or ability. So as we weren't doing very much else, we decided to apply that kind of design expertise to the existing products and see which could work virtually. And when it came to looking at Colourblind, there's a fairly obvious thing. Those of you who'll know the physical product, to do that activity, the participants have a blindfold, and so they don't share the same visual frame of reference. Obviously, we can do that much easier on here. If we are just talking to each other, you'll see a number of people have cameras on, cameras off, so it's relatively easy to do that. So we started to play around with a number of things, and because we weren't convinced that we could do something, but after a bit of testing, we thought, yeah, we've definitely the possibility to have something here as challenging as the physical version. And the challenge bit is really important. Again, those of you who don't use experiential learning much or use activities, puzzles, that type of thing, in adult learning, that challenge needs to be there. If it's too simplistic an activity, then people won't engage. You won't kind of get the behaviours that you want to surface. So it does need to have a strong level of challenge. So we did some temporary work with customers as well, and then decided probably about July 2020, we'd really like to invest in this a bit more, and we started to create our own platform. And Colourblind was, in fact, the first product that we launched on it, October 2020. So it's been around now for kind of 2.5 years. Again, if you've been involved then and involved now, you'll realise that we celebrate you no matter what. When you get into that book. Sorry, I'm getting a bit of feedback. Thanks, Kurt. That's brilliant. Teach people a lot. If you could switch your mic off for me, Kurt. Perfect. We've continued to develop the platform since then, so you'll see if you haven't been on it recently, a number of the functionality has changed, and also we've added more tools and activity. So also. Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to find a point just to interrupt you for a second. I only have 7 names, so if there's anybody else, I'm not sure if you would like a few more to participate if possible. That's fine. 7 will work if people are really dead against doing it, but hopefully we'll get 1 or 2 more. Just send your name and your email to Kim. There's no prizes for getting Colourblind Online correct in this session, and there's no prizes for getting it wrong. But I do find that the best way to learn about an activity as a facilitator is to experience it as a participant. So if you haven't, please take the opportunity and join a couple more of you. So yeah, so just this year, in fact, a couple of months ago, we actually spun the business off. It's now a joint venture with our developer partners. So we're committed to doing more with it in the future. Those of you who are interested in a wider selection of experiential learning tools. So one thing that hasn't changed is purchasing of the product still comes from RSVP Design. So this is the kind of product listing on the website. And the reason I put this up was I was thinking about, well, a fairly obvious question for me would be, well, what is relevant to a product that's essentially 30 years old? And if you look at that kind of list of learning focus areas in the middle, so for every product, we have a maximum of 6 things that we would say, if you're interested in these areas of learning focus, then this product might be good for you. So in the middle there, change management, diversity, cultural awareness, effective communication, listening, problem solving, team building. That seems to me to be a pretty current list of learning focus areas in many organizations, whether you're truly commercial or whether you're governmental or whatever. And what we did is we took a look at the World Economic Forum. So down there on the left, there's a link to that. It was back in 2020, they posted their last report on the future of jobs. And I thought it was quite interesting to look at the top skills that they predicted will be required in 2025 on the right-hand side and compare that with the list of learning focus areas for Colourblind Online. So they broke that down into kind of 4 areas of problem solving, areas of self-management, areas of working with people. And certainly those 3, the blue, the green, and looks a bit brown to me, I guess, although I'm a little bit colourblind, would be absolutely relevant. And arguably even some of the technology use monitoring control skills. I don't know how your business has changed, but certainly for 2 years, the vast majority of our communication was via Zoom for me and this platform. I used to do a lot of traveling and I've just started again, but for 2 years I didn't get on a plane, for example. And certainly even post-COVID, and COVID certainly isn't interfering with our business operation now in the UK, but post-COVID I probably do 10 times as many Zoom meetings as I did before. So that, technology use monitoring control has certainly changed. So hopefully that gives you some kind of context for where we are. A couple of other things that were mentioned by the Economic Forum, though, was majority of employers focusing their provision on training for harder skills. Whereas, so 70% offering reskilling and upskilling by 2025, but employee engagement seemed to be lacking. Only 42% of employees taking up employer-supported reskilling and upskilling opportunities. One of the first bits of travel I did post-COVID, I was at a technology conference, learning and development technology conference in the US just at the tail end of last year. And there were representatives from the big tech companies, so Google, Amazon, and so on. And we were talking about hard skill depreciation, and they reckon that 18 months was the maximum level of software engineers and software-related discipline skills before they needed updating. And there is a lot of talk now about people moving towards recruiting just for softer skills because they know that whatever hard skills they have are likely to be redundant, in as little as less than 2 years. And then this bottom one, again, which I presume is mainly US-based, but may not be based. But as a statistic, a 4-fold increase in the number of individuals seeking out opportunities for learning online through their own initiative. So an 88% growth in that type of population. So there seems to be a bit of a disconnect, soft and hard skills, but a real interest in people recognizing that developing their soft skills is really useful. And as someone who's just put their daughter through 4 years of university here on a technical discipline, there's very little emphasis placed on soft skills development in our higher education systems. Okay, so a lot of warbling on. Sorry about that, but hopefully, Kim, has that given you some time to get ready to run Colourblind Online?
Yes, I have 9 names.
Have 9 names, perfect. Kim, could you just hit the invitation button for me?
Sure.
So I'm just going to put another slide up just as that's going out. So emails should be pinging their way to you. I'm also, in fact, let me just show this first. Okay, so those of you who said you're going to take part, if you could check your email for me, and it may have gone into spam, you should get an email, and if you click on it, it's going to open something like this. What I'd like you to do is just hit that green button in the middle, which says launch as guest. So don't bother entering an email address and password. We don't need to do that. We can talk about this later, but just to get the demo started. And when you open that, you should see something like this. So one of the features of the platform is that the activity won't start until the facilitator has decided we're ready to do that. That all clear? And Kim, have you sent out the observer link into the meeting chat?
I haven't. Do you want me to do that now?
Yeah, if you could do that.
Okay.
So those of you who are playing, please don't click on the link that Kim is about to send, because that will show you everyone's tiles. And it's really important that you get a chance just to concentrate on your own. So when I start the activity, you'll have a chance to view your own tiles. Okay, anyone who is expecting an email and can't find it or doesn't get it, again, send Kim a little message and she'll be able to send you an individual link in chat that you can get. So those of you who are acting as observers, if you're not taking part, you can click on the link Kim is putting in the chat, and that will allow you, and you should see the same kind of screen. So you won't see anything until the activity starts. Is that clear for everyone, or any questions?
Yeah, that's fine.
Good
All
to go.
good?
Just confirming that when we get the email, which I just received, and it says open session, we're just going to click there.
Yeah.
And be taken. Okay.
Yeah, so just click on launch as guest. You don't need to put in any details. Okay, so I've now started the session. Those of you who have an observer link should see everyone's shapes. If you're taking part, the link that you have from the email should be very specific. So I'm conscious no one's got a brief yet. So one of the ways we do this in the physical version is once people have got their blindfold and we've handed them some plastic shapes, we give them the briefing. So I'm going to kind of do the same here. The activity brief is, I began this activity with a complete set of images of colored shapes. However, 2 images from the complete set were removed before I distributed the remainder of the set amongst the group. So you will have spread amongst you, those who are playing, a complete set of images minus 2 pieces. So your group task is to identify the color and the shape of the 2 pieces I've removed from the set. Okay, only one complete answer will be accepted, so the group must be confident it is correct. You may see a timer running down, so I've set the timer for 15 minutes, which is a really tough challenge, but I just want to give both those observing and those playing a chance to understand it. Okay, so it's a group activity. You will need to talk to each other, so please open your mic so that you can do that. What I suggest is that everyone else who's observing, maybe just close off your mic. I will probably do the same. If you've got any questions from the brief, just let me know. Otherwise, it's kind of over to you.
We screen share, Graham.
Sorry?
We'll have to screen share.
Please don't, no. I should have switched that off, and I will.
Well, you might have. I don't know if it works.
No, I haven't, but yeah.
That defeats the purpose of the exercise.
Yeah, I reckon we could do it in less than 15 though.
That would probably take a shorter time, you're right.
So one question that I would have for the group as we're trying to figure this out is maybe let's start with colors. Let's so we know what colors there are. I know I have 2 pieces that 2 pieces are blue and one's green. What other colors are out there?
I've
got
got
a
a
question.
question.
Are our cameras supposed to be off?
Doesn't matter.
Sorry, I'm happy for you to leave the cameras on for the purposes of this activity. So
Oh, okay.
we'll talk
Okay.
about that later.
Okay.
So as well as green and blue, I've got a black one as well.
Okay.
I-
so green, blue,
I have
black,
a kind of burnished red.
red. Okay. Green,
got
blue,
gold.
black, red,
I've got gold. I've got a gold one.
gold.
This is Kevin, and I have a blue, a green, and a red.
Okay, so it sounds like we have blue, green, red, black, and gold. Is that right? So we have 5 colors.
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone want to start with a shape? Do you want me to start with the shape? One of my shapes, which is the blue, it almost looks like an upside down electrical plug. And when I think about it, I'm in the US, but when I go international,
Yeah,
it's almost like a plug, an international plug for me, a European plug. So I have a
Can
blue
I-
one of those. Does
can-
anyone else have any other color? If you have, yeah.
I've got a green one of those.
Okay, so
Red.
blue,
red
red.
one.
Is there a black one? Is there a gold one?
I've got a gold one.
Shelley, just in case, just to be sure we're not, double counting stuff. The plug has like a little indentation at the top, right? It's almost like it's missing a piece itself.
Like a U, like it's in a U.
Yes,
at the
like
top.
it's a U.
Yeah, I've got one of those, and it's gold. If by gold we're meaning like a dark mustard.
Yeah. So so that being the case, if we know we have, it sounds like there's no black. So does anyone have a black one like that?
Well, we're assuming we need a black one, but for now, I think it's interesting to just list the shapes and the colors. So we have plug.
Well, but we
Right.
could actually eliminate, because everyone has said that they have one except for a black one. Did I miss that?
No, I don't have a black one.
I do not either.
Neither do I.
So that being the case, that could be possibly one of the missing colors. So we said
Yeah.
we
That's a good
have
start.
we said 5 colors, and
Yep.
this one shape, everyone has one but a black one. So let's remember that, and someone else
Okay.
can go from
Okay.
there. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, so
I
this is
can go.
Kevin, and
Yeah, go
what I
ahead.
would say is, this is Kevin, and what I would say is that, so again, I have a blue and a green. The shape is identical. It's basically like the head of an arrow with a circle in the middle. My blue one, the arrow is pointing to the left. My green one, the arrow is pointing up.
Could
Are
you
they
be
the
more
same
specific with the shape? Could you be
Identical
more spec-
shape, identical
Could you-
shape.
Could you be more specific with the shape? Because of course, I don't have all the
Yeah.
shapes, but it doesn't look relevant. Is it a triangular arrow or is it?
Yes, it's a triangular arrow, right?
I do
It
not
has
have that.
a white circle in the middle, and then below the circle, essentially the opposite of the point of the arrow, has kind of a rounded kind of connection.
I have a red one pointing up.
I have a black one.
Kevin, what were your 2 colors?
Green pointing up and blue pointing to the left.
Let's
So
stick to pointing
blue,
up.
blue,
So-
green, yellow. Does someone say
I have
red?
black. I have black. I've heard blue, green, red, and black. Do we have a gold one of those?
Well, yellow is gold, no?
Yeah,
Yes.
yellow or gold. Do you have one of those? Is there a yellow gold arrow?
Huh.
Ah,
Okay, this would be
Okay.
like hitting the lottery if we got the first
So,
2 on the
we didn't
first
need
go
15
round.
minutes.
So I think it makes, just to be clear, the shapes are the same, and therefore the orientation of the arrow doesn't matter. So you have 2 of them.
I have 2 of them, yes.
They're
Kevin.
randomly distributed, so that's possible.
Okay. Okay.
So
So
is
we
it
move to the next
possible?
one?
I'm
And the
sorry.
center is round, right?
Correct. It's a
Yes.
White dot.
A white,
Okay,
yeah.
so we'll move to the next shape.
So that one I just want to make sure, because I know for my upside down plug, the black is missing. This one, what color was missing?
Red. I have.
red was
I have
missing.
red.
Oh, you do have red.
I
I
think it
have
was
a red
yellow.
one pointing
I
up.
think it's the gold that's missing, isn't it?
Yeah, gold. Yeah, but I'm
Yeah,
sure I
gold is
heard
missing.
someone say they had a
Okay,
yellow
gold.
one.
Okay,
It's-
gold is
I'm
missing.
sure I
Yeah,
heard someone say they had a yellow one of those.
Okay.
Somebody said they had the yellow one.
Who has the yellow one?
I have a yellow one, like an arrow to the left, pointing
Okay.
to the left.
Yeah.
Could you describe
Okay.
it, Alexandra?
Okay.
So,
So let's subtract that
so
one.
nothing is missing. Nothing
We've got
is
all
missing
of
from that.
those. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that has all of them.
Okay,
Okay.
so let's move to the next shape.
So if we're looking for what's missing, it has to be the shape now if the color is missing from the very first one.
Not necessarily. It's because Graham said it's a shape and a color. There's two
Right,
that are
and
missing.
we've already decided the first one that we went over is the
Yeah.
color that's missing. So now we're looking for a shape.
No,
No.
because there are,
We've established
if there are
it's
plug
the-
shape, there should be 5 colors of that plug shape. And amongst us all, we've only found 4.
Okay,
So we've established that
there'll be another shape now in either same or different color
right.
that we're looking
Okay.
for.
Can I suggest a new shape? Because
Yes.
my
Yes,
shape
yeah,
is
yes.
it's very like Shelley's shape,
Okay.
but turned round 90 degrees, so it creates a C shape rather than a U shape. So it's just like Shelley's, so it looks like a plug but on the side. So it's a C.
But the orientation may not matter, right? Do you have
Yeah, I
the
was
plug? Is
gonna
this what you're
say.
saying? What's the color? Is
'Cause
it
I-
black?
It's the
Oh,
color.
oh,
There you go.
okay. Then I
So we
might.
have.
I've
What
got a
color
black
is it
one.
black?
I've
Yeah,
got a
there
black
you go.
one.
So we're not
Okay.
missing
Oh,
that.
sorry.
Okay. So,
Can I
thought it was a different
suggest a
shape.
shape? Can I suggest a shape?
Yes, go on.
Go for
It's
it.
a double crescent moon on top of one another with a line in the middle. So you
Yeah.
should see
I
the-
have a blue.
I have a green.
I
What
have the
colour's yours,
red.
Kevin?
So you say double, what I have is, I have a red one, but the shape is really weird. It's kind of like a triangle, but on the top of it, it has kind of a sharp little peak that
It's-
goes off up, and then
it's-
a funky kind of shape going off to the right.
So
Is that it?
that's another shape. That's another.
Yeah.
shape.
another one.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't
Yeah.
think this is a shape.
Kevin, by the way, I don't want to derail us, but I think I have your shape and it has a triangle in the middle, right?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah, I have that shape
You'll
too.
go to that one next, but Nassif, I
Yeah.
don't think I heard what color you had.
Black double crescent with a bat. It looks like a bat, right? I have a black bat, so to speak. So I think we're missing the
So-
gold one.
So we're going to call that one a bat, and we've
Yeah.
got black.
You-
We have
Blue.
everything except black, except gold. We don't have gold. This is what I
Gold is
noticed,
missing.
Yeah.
correct?
No one has that, even if it's turned on its side? Can someone make sure your orientation that was key? Okay, so it looks like the gold of that one.
There you go.
Um,
So can
Next
we go
shape.
to the one that Kevin and I have and someone else? I have a green,
have-
that triangle with the
What if
triangle
can I-
shape, and then it has a triangle in the middle. Who else has
Yes.
that
can
color?
I just
I
stop
have
you?
a
If-
blue
if we-
one.
If we
Donna has
found 2
blue,
missing
green.
ones, then that's it. We don't need to go through the others if we found 2 that are missing.
Yeah, I
Mm,
think,
Did we
I
find
think,
two?
No, guys, I think it's very simple. There are 2 shapes of 2 colors that are missing. That's it. This is how I understood it. And therefore, let's go through all the things and make sure we double down on this because it's
Yeah.
impossible for a color to miss and a shape not to miss. So
Well,
Because I
have-
can only
we
tell
just
that
have
there's
4 minutes
one.
left on this task. So
There's only one that we've identified. I don't know what
which
the
is
other.
the arrow.
I thought we just
we're down-
established that there was a
we're down-
gold
down to
crescent
4.
missing.
Yes, we're down with gold double crescent. We're down to 4 minutes. Let's do the triangle shape, make sure we have it nailed down, right? We have the blue triangle thing with the green.
Yep.
Do we have black, red, or gold?
I
Yeah.
have green.
It's noted.
Gold,
Gold is noted. We're still seeing black or red. Do we have black or red with the triangle thing?
Or blue.
No, I have
is-
blue.
blue is
Oh, Dawn
noted.
has blue. Black or red? Kevin, what color did you have? Because I thought you had that color. I mean,
have
that
red.
shape.
I have red.
Okay. Okay.
The
so-
only shape that has all the colors so far is the arrow.
That's.
No, we
we're
decided
derailing.
that
Guys,
Todd
guys,
also
let's
had
stick to
it.
the triangle. Let's stick to the triangle. Let's
Yeah,
go
okay.
shape
Let's
by
stick
shape.
with the
Let's stick with the
triangle.
triangle. What I have triangle, please confirm. Red, blue, gold, green.
Correct.
No one has black?
I have
One
a
is black.
black triangle, but it's a weird shape. It's like 2 feet to the end, if it makes sense. So
Yeah.
it's something like a triangle, but at the end has like 2 feet.
Yeah, is there a white triangle in the middle of it, Alexander?
It's a white triangle in the middle, yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay, that's
it.
the one we're talking about. Yeah.
What
color
color
yours?
is yours? What color is yours, Alexandra?
So it's a black outside and
Okay.
the small
Okay.
triangle is
So
white.
that one's
Next-
done.
Next
We
shape,
have that.
There is one that looks, if you really focus, it's weird to, it looks like a stain that's in the shape of a person with a long nose.
Yeah, I've
Yes.
got one of those.
I've
Not
got
a
one of
long nose, but that shape.
Yeah, so
I've
it's,
got a long
also-
nose as well.
Could it
Color?
also, I want to confirm that I have that. Can it also look like it has two peaks and then a
yes,
rounded
yes,
thumb
yes.
looking?
I've
Yes.
got a red
Okay.
one of those.
I
You've
have a
got
blue
what?
one.
So
I have a
blue
blue
is
one.
noted.
I've got
Blue is
red.
noted. Red is noted. I have the black. Do we have gold or green?
I've
Is
got
it
green.
flat on, is it flat on one side?
Yeah.
And if you have it sitting, so the flat side is on the bottom, then on
Yes. Doesn't
either one
matter.
of the sides,
orientation
the
doesn't matter.
first loop is a loop and then they become
Yes.
peaks.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, I have
that's
the
it.
gold one.
Gold one. Okay, we're down to 1 minute. We should have one more shape.
Yeah, I've got another shape. It looks like, if you imagine a traffic light, and then in the middle there's only one light, and it's white, and then adjacent right next to that there's two triangles coming out the side of the traffic light, and it's gold.
Have that red.
Okay.
It's
we
like a
have what?
triangle and sorry, like a rectangular with two small
Yeah.
triangles in the middle. Yes,
That's it, yeah.
I have a red one.
I have a blue one of those.
And I have
Okay.
one as a black, but upside down.
We've got 40 seconds
Orientation
left.
Doesn't matter.
Blue, red,
So-
black. Who has yellow or green? Does
No,
someone
who
have
has
yellow or
Who
green?
has
Huh.
green?
I've got a gold one of those.
Okay, so green is it. So we're missing
Okay.
the green one of that one.
We got it. I think we got green traffic light and gold crescents. This is what I
Yes.
have so far. 20 seconds on the clock. Are there any
Hi.
shapes we're missing?
Larissa, this is Donna.
Hi, Donna. Hi.
Sorry for the
I'm
delay.
talking on the phone.
It's okay, no problem, and thank you so much.
Donna, can you mute? Donna, you?
8
All right.
seconds.
Donna
Sounds
is
like-
saying that she has two shapes that were identified already, but I'm not sure we know what colors she has.
Well, that's okay at this point, because with 0 seconds left, I think we have the two that we want to offer up.
Allegedly, because if the shapes were identified, I'm wondering what the color were, right?
Right.
Because we have missing information. What is very clear is that if one person is not, it has a technical problem, can't communicate, it's clear we don't have that information. So there's this asymmetry here. So
Okay.
we have a big assumption. So let's see.
Let's go with it.
That's fine. And
Time's up.
On the basis of time, I'm going to call a halt there. So just one of the challenges I always have when I'm running a kind of demonstration of a product is that we don't have a real learning focus for coming together other than to kind of play the game. So there's probably lots that we could review in that if we wanted to, but I'm not going to attempt to do that. So I'm just interested to hear those of you who were playing that. Was anyone playing Colourblind for the first time, or did everyone have an appreciation of the physical activity?
Yeah, I've
Nassif?
not played it before.
First time.
Mark hasn't. Okay.
I was playing first time.
First time.
First time. Okay. Those of you who had played before, were you playing any particular role, or were you happy to try and help people along? I'm just interested to try and understand what was going on.
Happy
Yeah,
to
I
help
mean,
people along.
Sorry.
Happy to help people along.
Yeah, having played it lots and lots of times and facilitated it lots of times physically, I was happy to help clarify what we were trying to do in there, but I was trying not to take a lead in the exercise.
Okay, that's fine, Andrew. So those who were experienced it the first time, tell me what was going on. What did you think about what was happening? How did you feel? Give me kind of first reactions just to playing it when you hadn't played it before.
Fun.
I thought it was a bit frustrating, really.
Yep,
I
absolutely.
personally was a bit lost in the beginning till I figure out what were the ground rules, and great that Shelley took the lead to kind of, take us through some bits, but I was quite lost for a while there.
Great, thank you, Alexandra, and thanks for the honesty. Yeah, I mean that is part of the design. Part of the design is putting people into an unfamiliar situation and seeing how they react to it, particularly when you have this dubiety. So I'm going to share the screen just to let you see the answer here. And don't let me forget, because I know at least one observer had a problem with viewing everything. So you can see here, can you see my screen okay from the platform? Yeah. So you can see the green and the yellow gold shape, whatever color it was, has been removed. And I think that's where you had got to. So, and you can see the shape distribution amongst everyone else.
Well,
So
I finally did it.
You did do it, yeah. So it was a pretty good performance. And those who said they were feeling a bit lost, having observed it very many times over very many years, actually the process that was put together and followed was pretty good. Often groups don't get that quickly into a good process so often. Those of you who've facilitated that before, would you agree with me?
Yeah, I'd say it replicates the conditions almost exactly, because that feeling of being lost and not understanding how it's working is exactly what happens when you're blindfolded. You've given some shapes that you've never come across before. I think I'd not thought about it, but just simply changing the orientation of some of the shapes on the screen also replicates, because people grab hold of those in different ways in the physical activity. So that was quite neat, because we had a few times people were describing the same thing, but it sounded like they're describing different things simply because of the way it was orientated.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two deliberate kind of design features in the online one versus the physical one, which we largely found out through testing. One was that we wondered how much easier this activity would be when you saw the shapes, because most people say the real difficulty is when you've got a blindfold on, you can't see what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And then almost by happenstance, one of the things we noted in the digital world is that when you see a screen, everyone knows which is up and down and left and right, whereas when you have people blindfolded, people hold the shapes in different orientations, as has been mentioned. So we found that if we serve them in different directions, and you can see that on the screen here, then people don't always realize or indicate that that is the same shape. So that becomes an area of confusion that you kind of don't have as much of in the physical world, because it's much easier to say if you've got a long flat side like the black one there that Nassif had. If in the physical world, you'd say, hold that flat side to the bottom and then it comes up and down and so on. But the biggest thing that I certainly hadn't considered was colour. So it's called Colourblind for obvious reasons. And actually, if you are colourblind, then you could certainly take part in the physical version, because colour is a constant. In the physical version, if you hold up a shape when you're blindfolded and say, Graham, what colour is this? I will tell you. So we only use red, black, yellow, green. Whereas one of the things we noticed in this is that colour so far that you can see in the screen became gold, dark mustard, yellow, and then at some point someone said, is yellow gold or yellow is gold? So colour actually isn't a constant in the online version. It depends on what kind of screen you've got in terms of monitor. It depends on what you can see. So that became a sufficient area of dubiety for people, particularly groups who have never played this activity, that can be a real challenge. One of the early tests I did, I think about 6 people on. 5 people said, yeah, we've got red shapes. And one lady was adamant that hers was salmon pink. And I think someone did describe a slightly different red colour as well. So when colour isn't a constant and you don't share this visual frame of reference, it becomes a bit more difficult. I asked you to leave the monitors on, because I do think that helps the connection, particularly with people who haven't met before. And but sometimes you get people doing kind of air drawing of shapes, and that's not something we would want to see as a facilitator. So important things are probably turning your screen sharing off. People will get creative and innovative. I did do it after someone suggested. And the second thing is to make a decision based on really what learning you want to take from it, whether you have your cameras on or off, and what difference that might make. And
hey, Graham, I got a question
for having both. Sure.
So, Graham, I had a question. I don't know if you can see it. My hand's been raised for a little bit, if you don't mind.
Sorry, I can't. I was on the screen share.
Okay, that's okay. So 2 questions about ground rules. One, I noticed that you didn't say in this, we wouldn't have to tell someone no writing, but I almost feel like that would need to be established as a ground rule, like when you're setting the instructions. Because I could see how you could more easily then record, if you're in the online, record whatever one's color is and then come up that way. And everyone is dependent on one another to hold that color, you know, so just curious to know if that was a part of the ground rules. And then I think I missed it, again, back to ground rules. As you said, orientation is going to vary depending when you're in the physical realm, but I'm wondering if it holds to share that as part of the ground rules that, you know, the orientation might be different. So just curious to know those 2 things, are they part of the ground rules, you know, going as you're setting it up?
Sure. Okay. And the first one, I wouldn't typically establish ground rules for people not to take notes. One is, it's going to be impossible to enforce, especially if you take your camera off and you've got a piece of paper and pen in front of you. You know, there's no point. Secondly, I don't think it particularly helps, to be honest, because not everyone will keep the same notes, and then how do you share them? So it's not become an issue when I've done it. The second question is, no, I wouldn't tell them about orientation, you know, because that's part of the not miscommunication, but part of the problems are people trying to find out, well, what is open to interpretation here, and what is definite. And what is definite is you can count the number of shapes. What used to be definite in the physical world was colors. Now that's indefinite. So that needs a bit of checking, and orientation is indefinite. And those things together make the digital one the same degree of challenge roughly as the physical one in my experience. So I hope that helps, Shelley.
So hey, let me follow. I like Shelley's comment about the notes, and I was thinking of that same thing. But what I'm curious is as far as time duration, is it the same in virtual versus real? And I'm wondering, is in the real with the blindfolds, does it take longer for teams to figure it out?
Generally, Kevin, no. We've done a lot of testing with both, and generally the times are similar. People often ask, well, how long is this activity going to take? And it's a hard question to answer, because it depends on you know, how functional your team is, how good communicators there are. So generally, we would say about 20 to 45 minutes is about right in the physical world. And actually, the timer when you set up a Colourblind will start at 45 minutes. And I'm going to touch on the platform in a second as things that you can change. So generally, it takes about the same time in my experience for the same level of group.
So we're a smart group. We got it done in 15.
You were good, and as I say, partly for that was, you know, there was little argument when Shelley took the lead and had a process that everyone followed, even though, you know, maybe not everyone would have understood it. You know, now whether that's a function of the type of jobs you all do, whether it's a function of us being in a webinar, and how it would be different in organizations, you know, only you guys will be able to say, but that was a pretty good performance. And it's tough to do when you get a group of people who haven't met like that before. One thing I have noticed is that people who are used to being online now, there was a little bit of talking over. So at times it was like one of these Zoom meetings when 3 or 4 people talk at once. But when people realized that, they very quickly got into line. That doesn't always happen when you have a live group. You know, people are quite happy to have 3 or 4 conversations going on in the room. That doesn't happen so much online.
Graham, I take it that each of the pieces, there's the same number of each shape and each colour. Is that right?
Yeah,
when you put the graphic up before, it didn't look like it. But
no, it is. Yeah, no, it is. So it's the same as the physical version. So we have 6 different shapes and 5 colours. So if you take 2 away, you would count, that leaves you 28 pieces. You should be able to come up with 5 distinct colours, depending on how you name those colours. And then that would lead you to the fact that there's 6 shapes in each coloured set. So that's the kind of problem solving process which ideally you would go through.
I guess you could use the virtual version in a real train in a face-to-face environment as well, because you can get it up on your phone and you could do it that way as well. Have you ever done that?
Absolutely, yes, we have. Yeah, and also it takes a bit of setting up because you need to check that you have the same shapes. But you could have some people physically in the room with blindfolds and some people online with it. If you set up those shapes, that is possible. Yeah, but I do know you're right. I know some consultants who've switched entirely just to using the online version, whether they're in the room or not.
Could I ask a question? Just because I
Sure,
haven't.
go on, Helen.
Thank you. Just because I haven't done the in-person version either,
Okay.
and it was around. I'm sure everybody knows the answer to this question, but if you're blindfolded, how do you know what colours you've got?
Yeah.
in the in-person version?
No, it's all right. Really important question. So when people have got their blindfolds on, as well as giving them that brief, which is exactly the same, tell me the colour and the shape of the two missing pieces, the extra bit of information you get in person is that if you hold up a colour and say to the facilitator, what colour is this piece? The facilitator will tell you, and will tell you honestly and as many times as you need to know.
Okay.
So whether I think that piece is salmon red or pink, I'll just say that's red, that's blue, that's yellow, that's green, and so on. And that's how people get some certainty in terms of the colour information when you're blindfolded.
Okay. Does that cause quite a lot of chaos at the beginning as well then, if lots of people are asking the facilitator at the same time, what colour is this?
It tends to be that, yeah, because not everyone knows when they've got their hand up because they can't see everybody else. So yeah, so usually you just say if you, the facilitator would tell them. So there's a little bit of process, but that tends not to take too long to figure that out.
Okay, thank you.
And most people, to be honest, in the physical world go straight into describing shape because that's what they have in their hands. Yeah, which is not the ideal way.
You just have to, as a facilitator, you just have to make sure that's the only question you answer, because they sometimes try and ask other questions as well. But that's the only question you can answer to make it work.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great. I'm going to jump back into the platform now because I'm conscious that having talked a little bit of how it operates from the trainee point of view, one of the biggest questions that lots of us have, well, what happens when the technology doesn't work the way we wanted it to work? So one of the things I meant to mention earlier is that when you set up an activity such as this, you can set someone up as an observer, or you can set them up as a player. And Kim gave probably about 10 or 15 people the observer link. It's not designed to do that. These are supposed to be unique links. And I know one person had some difficulty looking at that. So normally you would have someone observing alongside a person. So as well as starting the activity, you can see if you've still got your links open that when I end the session as I'm doing now, then the link will disappear. So if you forwarded on those email invitations, they simply wouldn't work now because that session is ended. So a couple of things which are a challenge in the online world as Kim had with everyone today. So what happens if we set up a session and someone drops out? What do we do because we've already allocated their shapes? Or what happens when we're told 12 people will come and join our session at 4 p.m. today, and the only thing you know is it might be 11, it might be 13, there might be any other number, but it's probably not 12. How do you deal with that when you're live? So one of the ways is, so I've just finished this session. Let's say we were 2 minutes into it and someone had to leave or drop out. So one option I have to immediately do that. Let me get them back into the right session. So that was the one that we just did today. If I hit the duplicate button, you will see that this has started a new session for me. And what a session is, it's got each person's name in it. Let's say that it was Alexandra that had to drop out. If I remove Alexandra, I go into what's called the planning stage. The system will automatically allocate the correct number of colours and shapes to the group size. So unlike the physical world, you don't need to decide how many you do. If you don't like that, you can change it. Let's say I want Donna to be observing. I can do that, and I can send the invitations. So at that point, you'll see you've got a second invitation in your email. Let's say that Donna has changed her mind. Donna was the leader and said, no, I just want to watch. And now she said, well, actually, I want to take part. There is a manual link which you can copy. So the link that Kim was sending out was this one. If you notice that ends in QHGL, if I change that and actually say now I want Donna to be playing, the system will redo that. And if you look at the link, you can see that link hasn't changed. So right up until the point you start the session, you can make some changes. If you've already started the session, then you have a problem. But let's say it was someone that you didn't even know was coming. You can go back to your session. Let me go back into that completed one. So in this case, I wanted to duplicate it and I want to add someone. I can simply add someone. So let's say Graham has suddenly joined. I didn't know he was coming along. I've added him. So this would all be live. I can now plan it, and I've got an extra person now in here. You can see Graham is down here, and we've added all the right people. So that's how you would set it up in the back end. A couple of other things: when you set up a session, you can give it any date you want, any name, sorry, any time and start date. You can indicate the Zoom meeting that you wanted to use. You can have people show the brief, or you could, if you want to have it slightly changed. I wouldn't recommend that in Colourblind's case. The wording is quite specific, and you can change, as I said, it's set to 45. If you don't want the timer to show at all, just leave that as 0 and it won't show. Within the platform, and I'm conscious, I'm going to rush through this because I'm conscious I've only got about 5 minutes left, and I don't like to hold people after it. You can be, if you're in a freelance, you can be a member of more than one organization. So I'm a member of RSVP. I'm also a member of AdJam. So I've got various sessions set up under different companies. So once I'm in the correct session, I can go and look at the articles. So if we've got to the end of the activity, we're now going into review. As you'll find with most of our products, there'll be some suggestions on how you would expect the activity to go through, how to brief it, how to schedule your first session, and some suggestions on review. So you could have that open as you're going through them. You could copy them into your notes area, use that as you will. People in this case, so these are the number of managers or trainers who can set up a session. So you can see both Kim and I are a manager. So that means that Kim set up the session, but I can go in and edit it and run it. If Kim was a trainer, she would only be able to see her own. So you can set different levels, and schedule is where you create your sessions. So that's a quick run through the back end. Any questions on the platform itself or on products I can take while we've still got a few minutes?
And people can open the link on a smartphone and play it on there, can they, Graham?
They can, yes. We have some other products where the links have to be manipulated. You move things in the screen, and really you need probably a minimum of an iPad or a laptop for that. But for Colourblind, yes, you can do Colourblind on a smartphone. The link would just open your browser as it would. Because
I'm running some sessions where I have people dialing in from home, but also then 2 or 3 people sharing a conference room and dialing in together. So it'd be easy if they can they can be more discreet if they can just use it on their phone. If they're all sharing a laptop, then obviously that wouldn't work, but they could use a phone.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you would have is that the way the shapes are presented, they come in a list, so you scroll down them, so you would see essentially take up your screen for one shape. So if you have 3 shapes, you would scroll up and down your screen to see them.
Hey, Graham, I got a quick question, which is
Sure.
you never really talked about the outcomes. What are the typical learning outcomes from groups? Playing.
Yeah, well, that kind of list I shared in terms of focus, I think part of the planning as a facilitator is to decide why you're using this activity, what do you want to get out of it. So there are a couple of things generally, which is first of all, the descriptions tend to become a little bit of jargon. So and people tend to describe things visually in one of 2 ways. They'll tend to say things like it's like a cloud, or it's like an upside down electrical plug. So and I think the phrase used was international. So here in the UK, we have a very different plug than you have in the continent of Europe. Yeah. So that's fine if everyone understands that jargon. So there's a lot there about that level of description and not introducing jargon. There's clearly areas in terms of problem solving that you can take it. So any good problem solving processes, what do we know absolutely that's concrete? In the online version, really the only thing you know that's concrete is there's a complete set and we can count 28 pieces and there's 2 taken out, so there's 30 pieces in our system. So you can look at it from a problem-solving point of view. There are some fairly obvious team and leadership development issues in there. Where does leadership happen? How does the team work? What kind of contributions do you get? I noticed, for example, Alexandra's contribution was very late in the process, and some people had already identified the first 2 shapes were probably missing. Alexandra actually had them, but no one had invited her to make a contribution. And that's particularly an issue online. So you need to invite contribution, particularly if people are not confident in doing it. So there's lots of areas, and I think the challenge is trying to decide where you want to take the review.
Hey, Graham, question for you. So my organization, we have multiple sets of the physical, product, and we just send it out to wherever we are physically. How does that work contractually, in terms of, we are an organization of 100 facilitators. How does this online version then work? Do we, if I'm certified in the physical, how do we get access, multiple people from one organization to the online? And by the way, I love the online just as much as I do the physical. Love it.
Okay, thank you. You've definitely got that sales job, as I said at the start. So thanks for your help.
She's a plant. She's a plant.
So I showed this earlier, and maybe not everyone had seen it because some people come in late. So the way the online version works is it's a license. It's an annual license. So there's an unlimited use of that license in terms of learners. So when you pay, in this case, if you're buying from the UK site, £164, that allows you to run unlimited sessions over that period of a year.
Okay.
But kind of like the physical version. So if you buy 2 sets of physical Colourblind, you can't run it in 3 different places because you've only got 2 physical sets. So we made the licensing similar in Colourblind. So you can run up to 2 consecutive concurrent sessions. So if you said, well, we've got people running it all over the world, we always run them at the same time. We need to be running 4 concurrent sessions, 4 at the same time, then you would buy 4 licenses. Where the facilitators are based geographically, where the delegates are based, doesn't matter because everyone's logging in to the platform online.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it sure does. Thank you. I'm going to go back to my distribution people right after this call.
Okay.
Order 4 or 5.
Thank you. So any other questions?
No, that's great, Graham. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's perfect timing as well. On my computer, it says 1700 exactly. So thanks very much for attending. It was a little bit chaotic, but as I say, so please don't plan a session like that. Invite 50 people and then try to decide which 10 are going to take part. But if you have any other questions, please get back in touch with Kim or myself. Kim will do some follow-up. And if you're at the beginning of your day, have a great rest of your day. If you're coming to the evening like me, then have a good evening. And hopefully we'll see you again at another time in the future.